Well, Arber Xhekaj did in fact make his AHL debut last week. He played 3 games with the Laval Rocket. Let's talk a little bit about how he did and what he had to say. We wondered last week, was Arber Xhekaj's loan to the Laval Rocket simply a paper transaction while they were waiting to make room for him on the NHL roster to bring him back into the fold, or did he really truly get sent to the AHL? Well, and we now know the answer. He really truly was sent to the AHL, apparently to work on the defensive side of his game. This is apparently a conversation that had been ongoing throughout the season. And it seemed that Kent Hughes and company felt that the best way for him to come back from his injury and rehab and get back into game condition was to do it in the AHL and to work on some details on his defensive game. So today, we're going to go through the 3 games that he played with the Laval Rocket last week, talk a bit about how he did, and we're also going to bring you some comments that he had. Side note, if you didn't know, I give you a full recap of how the Laval Rocket is performing overall in terms of all of the Canadiens' prospects. I do that every Tuesday on the Rocket Hockey Report. And if you missed this week's show, check that out right here. Game 1 for Arber Xhekaj, last Wednesday against the Belleville Senators. I will say overall, we're not here today to talk about how the Rocket performed. The Rocket lost the game against Belleville. They lost in the shootout in the first game against Hartford, and then they beat Hartford for their last game of the week. Today, we're just going to focus on how Arber Xhekaj did. So first, there is the game against Belleville. It is Arber Xhekaj's AHL debut. He has never played a single game in the American Hockey League before this game, and it's against one of Laval's division rivals, the Belleville Senators. That's Ottawa's AHL affiliate. And this matchup always tends to be feisty. There's a lot of tension between these two teams. They do not like each other one bit. Usually gets physical. It's not uncommon to see a fight between the two. And so I really wondered going into this, oh boy, this could really be something to toss Arber Xhekaj into. And then the game happened. And Arber Xhekaj was nowhere to be found. In fact, Arber Xhekaj, to me, looked like a shell of himself in this game. There was no chirping. He didn't get mixed up in any of the dust-ups that happened, and there was plenty of physicality to go around, and he wasn't involved in any of it. In fact, he stayed far away from it. He had 2 shots on goal, and he was a -2 on the night. And interestingly enough, no penalty minutes, didn't take a single penalty, just kind of kept himself to himself, and wasn't really noticeable, to be quite honest. And interestingly enough, he wasn't made available to the media after the game. In his AHL debut, not available to the media postgame, which was kind of an interesting omission that many of the media who were present took notice of. So, okay, maybe he just needed kind of the first game to get acclimated. I mean, this is a completely new building, new part of town, completely new teammates. Some of them he's familiar with, maybe from camp and so forth. But for the most part, this is a fully new environment for him. So what would happen on Friday against the Hartford Wolfpack? Well, he did manage to get his first AHL point on this night. He did get an assist on the first goal of the game. He was even on the plus-minus for the night with 0. He had 1 shot on goal. And again, no penalty minutes. And this was a pretty nasty game. There were plenty of penalties to go around on both sides of the ice. And again, Arber Xhekaj still did not quite look like himself. He looked like he was holding himself back in that department. In fact, there was an incident. Riley Kidney was taken down pretty harshly, kind of near him on the ice. And he didn't react to that at all, which I thought was interesting. There were 25 penalty minutes handed out just for Laval on this night, and Arber Xhekaj did not own a single one of them. And I'm not saying that that's the sum total of Arber Xhekaj's game, but it's just an indication that that's a very different Arber Xhekaj than we've seen playing in the NHL. Coupled with the fact that, he wasn't all that noticeable on the ice again. Granted, he got his first assist, which was good to see. So now, he had his first AHL game, wasn't available for the media. Got his first AHL point in a shootout loss, still wasn't available to the media. Okay. Well, then game 3 comes around. Now, this one, Laval won handily. It was their teddy bear toss game, and they won this one 5-1. He had another assist, which is great. So he had back-to-back games with assists. He was a +1 on the day, and he had 3 shots on goal. So looked a little bit more like himself, and quite honestly seemed to be a bit more like himself. I could see him yapping a little bit on the ice in this game, like he was starting to settle in and get comfortable. And maybe that's all this was Arber Xhekaj just needed some time to settle in and get comfortable. We don't know how long he's going to stay there, particularly with David Savard coming back. That's currently leaving Gustav Lindstrom as a healthy scratch on the back end for the Montreal Canadiens. So what does that mean for how long Arber Xhekaj is going to find himself in the AHL? Because right now, there's definitely no room for him up top. And so our Chris G and other members of the media were finally able to talk to Arber Xhekaj after the Saturday game. So it took 3 games before he was made available to the media. And here are some of his comments of what he said that day.
I mean, obviously it was tough the first game, mentally, physically, and there was just a big change, and the game's a lot different down here, and so it took a lot of adjustment, but I think after that I got my feet in the water a little bit, and after that I improved these past 2 games. Just getting back, my touches were a little bit off in the first game, like my passing was a little off, and just timing, and I haven't played in 3 weeks, so just to get some touches back and just be a lot sharper. Yeah, here it's just it's more chip and go and hard work, and up there it's more slow pace, slowing it down and keeping possession of the puck, where here it's like pass, chip, go, so it's like, and every guy's skating fast. So I think in general they just expect me to be a pro down here and work on my game, so I'm gonna do that. They were in a big slump here, nine games in a row or whatever they lost, so every team could come to the ring and could be miserable, but these guys came with a good attitude, and eventually they pushed through and we won a game here, so it's positive attitude here.
So he said all the right things, right? Arber Xhekaj's done this enough now, particularly at the NHL level, that he knows what to say to the media, and he said the right things. I'm sure his teammates and the coaching staff appreciate that he was very complimentary about the guys in the dressing room, that even though they were going through a rough stretch before he got there, that they seemed to really come to the rink with a good positive attitude. And it sounds like he just understands that there are things that the Canadiens want him to work on. Obviously, it was a difficult transition for him at first. He said, it was a little bit of an adjustment both to the game and mentally. And I'm sure it was. Getting sent down to the AHL when you've never played there before would not be exactly the easiest thing for an NHL defenseman to deal with, no matter how young they are. And you heard him describe as well the things that are different down in the AHL, that it is an actual adjustment to gameplay, because while it is still very competitive, it's a very different style of game in the AHL. David Savard's back. Gustav Lindstrom is a healthy scratch, but Justin Barron and particularly Jaden Struble are performing quite well. In fact, I think Jaden Struble is going to be with the NHL for a decent amount of time, because he is absolutely making his own case to stay there. And don't forget, Jordan Harris is still out, but with the indefinite marker, so we don't know when he's going to come back. When he does, someone else is going to have to come out of the lineup as well. All of those things seem to indicate to me that it's possible Arber Xhekaj might not be back up with the Habs in at least the near future. Could he stay down with Laval for the rest of the month? It's quite possible, particularly if the Canadiens stay healthy on the defensive side of things. And so if that's the case, we're going to have to see Arber Xhekaj kind of embrace the situation that he's currently in. And for all intents and purposes, hopefully we see him improve on the things that he can improve. Maybe he can help Laval and be a mentor to guys like Matthias Norlinder and Logan Mailloux and William Trudeau, who's actually really not having a terrific start to his season. So some of the young defensive prospects that are in Laval, maybe Arber Xhekaj can finally kind of help them, a little bit as well while he's there. Certainly no, fans want to see Arber Xhekaj back in the NHL, but this might be another thing, in addition to being patient through the rebuild. fans might have to be patient before they see Arber Xhekaj in a Canadiens sweater anytime soon. Hey, have you subscribed to the channel yet? If you haven't, what are you waiting for? We have so much content that comes out for you every week. The Canadiens Connection podcast on Mondays. Every Tuesday, I've got a full Laval Rocket and Canadiens prospect report on the Rocket Hockey Report. And of course, every Thursday, I'm here with the Habs Hockey Report as well. So don't forget to hit subscribe, tap the notification bell so that you always know when we have a new video available for you. And while you're at it, it would do us so much good, and we would so appreciate if you just tap that like button, leave us a comment down below, and hit the share button. Let other Habs fans on your social media channels know that you enjoy watching all of our shows here at the Rocket Sports Media YouTube channel. And hey, did you happen to catch the new offering that we had on the channel that just debuted this week? That's right, we are doing live Habs game watch-alongs now. That means some of our hosts here on the team come on the channel and they broadcast live during a Habs game so that they can talk about it, they can analyze it, they can offer commentary, and all of you get to interact with them in the chat and react to what's going on in the game. They will chat back and forth with you on the show. It's a really fun, interactive way for Habs fans to get involved, and just adds kind of another layer of entertainment to watching a Habs game. So if you happen to miss that, it's another reason why you want to subscribe and tap the notification bell, because we will have more of these watch-alongs coming up. In fact, we've got another one coming up next week that you don't want to miss. So hit the subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and hey, if you want to find out what the watch-alongs are all about, then you can watch a replay right here, and I'll see you again next time.